It is once again game week as the college football playoffs are coming up this weekend. Tennessee and Ohio State, but first, Tennessee and the transfer portal. Who was on campus this past weekend? That and so much more. It's your Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into a brand new week and welcome back to Game Week. This is Locked On Vols and I'm your host, Eric Kane. Can't thank you enough for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Every dayers couldn't do this show without you and your shows tomorrow. So anybody listening or watching right now, if you have any questions leading into Tennessee, Ohio State, Tennessee in the transfer portal, whatever that may be, ask them at _Kaner. That's on Twitter, at Locked On Vols on Twitter, at Locked On Vols on Instagram, or leave a comment on this video on YouTube, and I'll do my best to answer those questions on tomorrow's mailbag show. But here coming up today, portal chatter. A couple of guys were on campus this past weekend. A couple of guys are on their way. Who are those guys, and where does Tennessee stand with those guys? Transfer portal conversation coming up in a matter of seconds. Boy, that was a fun Tennessee basketball game on Saturday night in Champaign. Tennessee wins it at the buzzer because of the heroics from Jordan Gainey. What did Rick Barnes have to say about the final play, and how good are the top-ranked Volunteers? Little hoop stock coming up in segment number 2, and then kind of get you back into game week. Tennessee, Ohio State, the picks as of here on a Monday morning, the numbers. Popular picks from around the country and who cover college football, the latest weather update, all that and more for Tennessee and Ohio State coming up in segment number 3. This show is presented by our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, where fans can win big with FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. You can visit FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, so the University of Tennessee had some guys on campus and some more on the way. And as we spoke on, last week in terms of, what are the targets for the University of Tennessee now with the transfer portal officially open? It has been line of scrimmage guys, okay? So the first guy I'm going to talk about who was on campus this past weekend was an offensive lineman from Arizona. He got here on Saturday night, and he's going to leave sometime this morning here on a Monday, and his name is Wendell Mo. All right, Wendell Mo Jr. Just wrapped up his redshirt sophomore season from Arizona. He'll have 2 years of eligibility remaining. He's got good size on him, about 6'2", somewhere around 300 pounds. He was an all Pac-12 guy a season ago in 2023. Again, he's played guard. He's from Long Beach, California. And if that sounds familiar, well, that's kind of where Nico Iamaleava is from. Nico went to Long Beach High School he graduated from Warren High School, but he attended Long Beach Poly as a freshman. And Wendell Mo Jr., of course, graduated from Long Beach Poly High School. So there's a kind of a connection there, at least to the quarterback for the University of Tennessee. But this is Wendell Mo Jr., and he was on campus starting late on a Saturday night. So at the time of this recording, that visit's not wrapped up yet. So, again, we'll have to see exactly what these guys say when they leave Tennessee. But, again, he was with Arizona, and he's going to have 2 years of eligibility remaining. You've got Washington that's in this one. Auburn is also in this one. And one to keep in mind as well with Washington, Jedd Fisch, of course, he's former head coach at Arizona, now the head coach of Washington. That's something to kind of pay attention to. But what about Wendell Mo Jr.? What's a little bit more about him? Well, he played in 760 snaps in 2024. Okay, again, he played guard. And 6'2", 340 pounds, according to Pro Football Focus, grades out at a 67.4% in 2024. In 2023, he played in 864 snaps, had a Pro Football Focus grade of 68.5, and if you're in the 60 range, that is an average starter, okay? And then in 2022, when that was his redshirt year, played 151 total snaps where he graded out at 61.2. So an experienced guy that Tennessee obviously needs help at the guard position, and Wendell Mo Jr. was one of those guys who were on campus over this past weekend, and that visit is going to wrap up at some point this morning. What about another guy who was on campus this past weekend? Well, late last night, James Thompson Jr. And you guys know the drill here. I am recording this ahead of time, so technically he is not on campus yet. But if everything goes to schedule and travel and all that, James Thompson Jr. is expected to be on campus late Sunday night, somewhere around midnight. Actually, going to leave at the tail end of Monday as well. So really going to be here less than 24 hours, and that's kind of the nature of the beast with the transfer portal. Jamal McCoy was on campus for like 7 hours and saw what he needed to see, and he picked Tennessee. But James Thompson Jr. from Wisconsin, defensive lineman, a defensive end, can play a little bit of defensive tackle as well. He will have 1 year of eligibility remaining. Missed most of 2024 with a torn pec. I think he played in one game there, the next to last game of the regular season against Nebraska. Didn't play many snaps, but overall in his career at Wisconsin, 38 games, 58 tackles, 5 sacks, 32 quarterback pressures. He tweeted this out on X, that he's going to visit A&M, Illinois, Oklahoma State, as well as Tennessee. And I would assume that he'll make his decision after that, unless Tennessee or another team can get him to lock things down before then. But more about James Thompson Jr. again at Wisconsin, according to Pro Football Focus. Again, injured for the majority of 2024, only played 7 snaps in one game. Played 437 snaps in 2023, 379 snaps in 2022, 108 snaps in 2021, and as a freshman redshirt, in 2020 he played in just one game. So again, a guy that should have a year, maybe 2, because of that redshirt year there in 2020. But nonetheless, a guy that's expected to be on campus late Sunday night and will probably be leaving late Monday as well. He's a guy to pay attention to in terms of a defensive lineman that Tennessee could be after. And again, in 2022, graded out of Pro Football Focus at 72.9, and 23, 66.5 Pro Football Focus grade. And that's pretty solid when you're looking for an experienced guy. Another guy that is expected to be on campus first part of this week, probably Tuesday, is another from the offensive line. This one from Northwestern, in Josh Thompson, 6'5", 301 pounds, a redshirt junior, expected to be on campus at some point in the early week. He played right tackle a lot in 2023, started every game as a right guard this past year. He has 1 year of eligibility remaining, and a guy that Pro Football Focus really likes. In 2024, a 74.1% grade over 646 snaps. That's getting it done, and Tennessee obviously needs a guard, and Josh Thompson would be a nice little piece of the offense. And, again, this can change by the minute. Again, that's very much recruiting, and transfer portal recruiting is even different because these guys have already gone through this process before. So some guys need all the hoopla, other guys really don't, and they just want to kind of come in, see what they need to see, and get out. And sometimes if they like what they see, they'll lock it down and go ahead and commit on the spot. So we'll see if Josh Thompson gets to Tennessee, but he is scheduled. The Northwestern offensive line transfer is scheduled to be here first of this week, probably on Tuesday. And then one other guy that is expected, again, pre-recording this Sunday evening, expected to get in late Sunday as well, is a defensive lineman from LSU by the name of Javier Suggs. JVR. We'll see exactly how you pronounce his name, but JVR. Vyar Suggs. Started his career at Grand Valley State. Played 2 seasons there. Really good player at Grand Valley State. At the Division II ranks, 8 sacks, 14 TFLs in 2 seasons. Moved up to Division I with the LSU this past year. Played in every game. Had 10 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, and 2 pass breakups for the interior of the defensive line at the defensive tackle position. He will have 1 year of eligibility remaining. This is Javier Suggs, transfer defensive lineman from LSU, and he's scheduled to be on Tennessee's campus late on Sunday as well. So some guys kind of getting here late in the weekend. At the time of this recording, I can tell you Wendell Mo is on campus, and again, I look forward to hearing what he has to say when leaving campus sometime today, and then we'll see what happens with James Thompson leaving later tonight, and of course some of these other guys and Suggs and Thompson whenever they leave campus here, as they're coming to check out what Tennessee has to offer. And Tennessee's got a lot to offer. One of the best collectives in the game. It's not monopoly money, but obviously Spire, and they've got their stuff in gear. They've got their stuff in gear for sure. And plus, there's a winning program. Tennessee's in the college football playoff. There's opportunity on the line of scrimmage. But of the 4 guys I mentioned, 2 defensive linemen, 2 offensive linemen. Tennessee obviously is trying to bulk up and replenish in the trenches, just as we kind of spoke on. So when will that first guy jump into the boat in terms of committing to Tennessee out of the transfer portal? We'll see. It's been a little bit slow. It's also felt really slow because, the focus has really been on the college football playoff on Ohio State. So that thing's going to be moving a little bit. I'm not saying Tennessee's going to sign 10 out of the portal, but Tennessee will sign a few for sure. And certainly it's going to be at the line of scrimmage, and then we'll see about wide receiver. As I spoke on last week, with Chaz Nimrod, Caleb Webb, Nathan Laycock, and Edwin Spillman entering the portal. 3 scholarship, 1 walk-on, but still the numbers at that position, they've got to go at least get a body, in my opinion. That's certainly, I'm not saying you got to go and spend a whole lot of money on a guy, but you got to go get a guy, maybe 2, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. Tennessee likes what they're bringing in, but still, you're talking about 3 freshmen, a redshirt freshman stepping up in Braylon Staley. You're talking about Squirrel White, Chris Brazel, and Mike Matthews. I mean, there's just not a lot of bodies in that room. So we'll see exactly where Tennessee likes to look in the transfer portal. But right now, it's for sure the first kind of swing of visitors on campus. And remember, Tennessee's not going to be here this weekend. They're going to be in Columbus. But certainly the trench play at the line of scrimmage. 2 offensive linemen and 2 defensive linemen. Hey, when we come back, we'll talk a little Tennessee hoops. What a win against Illinois and Champaign on Saturday night. Buzzer beater from Jordan Gainey. All that and more is coming up next. We talk a little Tennessee hoops, the number 1 ranked team in the country, on the other side here on Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's number 1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you can view the live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bet. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com, where you can make every single moment more on the safe, secure, easy-to-use app. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And, hey, it's America's number 1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Hey guys, welcome back to your Monday morning Locked On Vols. Again, a reminder that you can send in your questions, some comments, some concerns, whatever the case may be. I'll do my best to answer those on Tuesday's show. So it's a big week. Obviously, transfer portal is swirling. Got that portal chatter. You got Tennessee and Ohio State in the college football playoffs. We'll continue to try to welcome on some guests throughout the week to give their perspectives on Tennessee and Ohio State in the first round matchup of the CFP. So really looking forward to all that. It's going to be a big week, and no better place to get your day started every single morning than right here on Locked On Vols, free and available wherever you get your podcast. But again, send in those questions. We'll answer them for you everydayers on tomorrow's mailbag show. Man, Tennessee basketball, what a win. What a win. And sure, Illinois is not, it's not, an undefeated team ranked in the top 5, and I'm not trying to act like it is, but Illinois is a quality 1 win. It's a quad 1 win. And it was a road matchup. And these are the type of games that when you get into March, you start comparing resumes, okay? And you've got Lenardi's bracketologists and all that. This is the type of game that you'll circle and go back and say, well, back in December, big non-conference win on the road, a true hostile environment, shorthanded, if you will, as well. In Tennessee, the number 1 ranked team in the country, found a way. This was old-fashioned Big Ten defensive showdown, right? Tennessee in the basketball game shot 32.3% from the field. You had Illinois shooting 29.4% from the field. At the halftime break, only 1 player from Tennessee's roster, Chaz Lanier, made multiple field goals. Nobody made multiple field goals for Illinois at the halftime break, where Tennessee was leading by 1 point at 31-30. Again, Tennessee shot from behind the arc, 6 of 24 on the day, just 25%. Illinois wasn't much better, 4 of 23, wasn't better at all, actually. 4 of 23, 17%. I mean, this was a hard-nosed, big boy basketball game where Tennessee was shorthanded to begin with due to some injuries, obviously, but also you had some key personnel pick up some early fouls. Felix Akpara played, I want to say 6 first-half minutes, or maybe 8 first-half minutes, and, got 2 early fouls, had to sit a lot of the first half. You had Zakai Ziegler that played, I believe, 6 second-half minutes. He ended up fouling out with 5 fouls. Chaz Lanier ended up fouling out. You had Jemai Mashak that had 4 fouls by the end of this one. A lot of guys that were just very much in foul trouble. You had, freshman Bishop Boswell that came in and gave Tennessee, 7 really hard-earned minutes because they needed it. Tennessee, in terms of, had 28 free throw attempts, whereas Illinois made 30 of 36. So you had one team, Illinois, that made more free throws than Tennessee even attempted. Now, there was a lot of fouls in this game. This was an absolute ref show. Again, combined, you had 28 free throws from Tennessee attempts, 36 attempts at the charity stripe for Illinois. So, again, this was a ref show. It was boring. It was annoying. It was frustrating to watch at times. But, you're going to have a game or two like that every single year. And you got to find ways to win. And where Tennessee, obviously, again, no Cam Carr, no JP Estrella. We know about that. We know about the injuries where Tennessee's suffering, and their rotation is very much limited compared to what it will be. You count that in with Zakiya Ziegler in foul trouble, Meshack in foul trouble, Lanier in foul trouble. Chaz Lanier went through a stretch there in the first half where, he came away making 5 of 9 free throw attempts, but he missed 4 straight at one point in the first half. He was really getting in his head. I mean, Felix Okpara as well, foul trouble. Tennessee just found a way. And at the very end, okay, it was a tie ball game at 64-all. Tennessee inbounds the basketball, and you have Jordan Gainey stepping up or finishing off just a wonderful game for Jordan Gainey, going coast to coast and lay it in and one. Didn't call the foul, but it was an and one for sure at the buzzer off the glass, and Tennessee wins 66-64. Because of Zakiya Ziegler's foul trouble and Lanier's foul trouble, specifically those two, man, Jordan Gainey, who plays a huge role anyway, he's the guy off the bench for Tennessee, he had to play 34 minutes. 34 minutes. He led all Volunteers with 23 points. He was 6 of 14 from the field, 3 of 6 from behind the arc, 8 of 9 at the charity stripe. He was incredible, and Rick Barnes was quick to give him his flowers after that game. What a game for Jordan Gainey, who had to play so much for Tennessee. But again, he had to play 34 minutes off the bench. Cade Phillips had to play 15 minutes, which isn't a whole lot, more than what he already is. He's a key figure off the bench. Dubar played 16 minutes. Again, I mentioned Bishop Boswell had to play nearly 7 minutes. Igor Milicic, who finished with 7 points, he had a horrible day shooting, 2 of 13, 0 for 8 from behind the arc. He had 14 rebounds in this game. I think he had 10 rebounds in the first half. He was keeping Tennessee, obviously, second chance opportunities and all that with the boards. He had 9 on the defensive end, 5 on the offensive end, but not a great day shooting for Igor, but he stepped up in terms of getting rebounds, especially with Okpara, missing a lot of game action. I mean, Okpara played 8 minutes and 48 seconds in this game. So that just kind of goes to show you what type of basketball game this was. But nonetheless, what did Tennessee do in order to win this basketball game? Well, Rick Barnes was asked about this in postgame, and I found this really, really interesting. This is asking Rick Barnes' postgame press conference about the final play where Jordan Gainey just went coast to coast and laid it in. Quote from Rick Barnes, quote, "Well, give you a little history lesson on that play. I was an assistant coach in 1980 at George Mason's. Let's go back 44 years, shall we? We didn't have a big recruiting budget, so we decided, Joe Harrington, the head coach, we need to put out a monthly newsletter to all coaches within a 250-mile radius to try to get George Mason on the map. And so I worked with our SID. We came up with a segment of it where we're going to call it a coach's corner, where we want to ask different coaches around the D.C. area or whatever to put together their favorite play. And so it was my first time. I drove to DeMatha Catholic High School and I asked Morgan Wooten, legendary coach at DeMatha, I think that's how you pronounce it. I said, Coach, you've been doing this a long time. I need you to give me your favorite play. And he said, okay. He gave it to me, and that's the play we ran today. So that play's been around for a long time, but Morgan, God rest his soul, I mean, again, it was his play and the first one we put in the newsletter that year, end quote. So Rick Barnes went back 44 years, and there's more complexities to it, and I'm not even going to try to get into it because I don't speak basketball very well, but it's much more than just inbounding the basketball to your guy and then going, down the court and laying it in for a layup there. I thought that was really, really cool how he referenced an old high school coach, a legendary high school coach, going back to when he was an assistant at George Mason in 1980. I thought that was really, really cool. Also, Jordan Gainey was asked about that last play and how what was going through his mind. He said, as soon as I put it off the glass, I looked through the hoop and saw it rattling up there, and then it finally went through. I saw my teammates coming. We work on that play just about every day in practice, late game situations. So we were all prepared for the moment, and my teammates ran it perfectly and executed it, end quote. So congratulations to Jordan Gainey on that. That was just fantastic. I mean, you look at Tennessee basketball, again, number 1 ranked team in the country. Ken Palm ranked number 2 in the country. They've got the number 15 offense in the country, number 1 ranked defense in the country. Of course, that's according to Ken Palm. Look at the net rankings. That was the 3rd quad 1 win of the season. Tennessee is 3-0 on neutral courts, 2-0 in true road games, 10-0 overall, 3-0 in quad 3, 4-0 in quad 4, 3-0 in quad 1 right now. That is the University of Tennessee. So not bad for the Volunteers. We knew it was going to be a test, not against a super elite opponent, but a quad 1 win, tough road environment against a really, really talented team in a game where the refs dominated the show. Okay, you were in foul trouble, already shorthanded, and good basketball teams find ways to win basketball games, and that is exactly what Jordan Gainey, who played 35 minutes in this game, and the Tennessee Volunteers did. So congratulations to them. Up next, back at home against Western Carolina here on Tuesday. And then that'll be the last game before, I believe that'll be the last game before the Christmas holiday. Hey, when we come back, it's officially game week for Tennessee and Ohio State. Who are some of the popular picks? Who's picking Tennessee to win this game? Who's picking Ohio State to win this game? I'll tell you what we have in terms of the latest when we return right here on your Monday morning show. This is Locked On Vols. It is that time of the year. The college football playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, leading to our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 o'clock Eastern. Don't miss them any moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. All right, guys, a couple more minutes left here on this Monday morning show. Again, get in those questions for tomorrow's mailbag edition of the show, and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities at _Caner and at Locked On Vols on Twitter. You can find the show account on Instagram, and I'll do my best to find the questions there at Locked On Vols. And, of course, you can leave a comment here on the YouTube channel if you are watching. I do look forward to trying to get some special guests on the show this week. I know a lot of you guys, and I thank you for it, tagged me in Jarrett Garantano's tweets over the weekend. I have spoken to Jarrett. Excuse me. We don't have anything locked in yet, but he does want to come on the show, so I'm hoping that we can get him on the show to record at some point in time this week. I think that would be awesome. Obviously, a former Tennessee quarterback that gave his all for Tennessee. It didn't work out for him here, but he should be remembered for giving his all for Tennessee, that is for sure, and he loves the university. And so hopefully we'll get Jared Garantano here on the show, a little JG action, get his thoughts on Tennessee and Ohio State. So hopefully we'll have that at some point this week. All right, so at the time of this recording, Tennessee still stands as a 7.5-point underdog on the road at the Shoe against Ohio State. That total is at 46.5. That, of course, is according to FanDuel Sportsbook. ESPN's FBI matchup predictor gives Ohio State a 67.4% chance of winning this football game. Obviously, Ohio State is hosting this game. There's been a lot of speculations about the secondary markets and Tennessee buying up tickets and Ohio State selling tickets to Tennessee fans, or Tennessee fans buying those tickets to sell to other Tennessee fans, or I don't know how many fans for Tennessee are going to be in there. I think it's going to be much more, or I think it's going to be more than what we have, thought initially. Because again, the official allotment for Tennessee was only 3,500. You knew there was, of course, going to be more than 3,500 Tennessee fans there, but that's just kind of the way the college football playoffs are working for home field advantage. But really, really looking forward to seeing how much orange is going to be in Columbus. And I put a story out. I talked to some guys over at the Letterman Row, the On3 site covering Ohio State. Spencer Holbrook was kind enough to, he said he wanted to do it. So I was like, heck yeah, we'll take it. He wanted to kind of break down where to eat, where to drink, what to do while in Columbus for Tennessee fans. So I put that out there yesterday morning on VolQuest.com. You can go check that out. But we do know it's going to be a cold one. And this isn't trying to make a weather segment here, but I do want to give the updated, weather report at the time of this recording. We know it's going to be a cold one. I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as the national media is trying to make it or Ohio State fans are trying to make it, but it will be chilly for sure. The latest weather projection has the high on Saturday at 31 degrees, so it's not even going to get to freezing. The low at 14 degrees. And, of course, Tennessee and Ohio State are kicking off at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Sunset in Columbus is at 5:10. 5:10. Boy, oh boy, is it going to be chilly. No sun in the sky, so you don't even, at least, don't even have the luxury of playing in the sunlight. Of course, we knew that. So it's going to be chilly. Winds at this time predicted to be 10 to 15 miles per hour northwest, and it's going to be, during the day, sunshiny with a mixture of clouds, so partly cloudy day before the sun goes down. So, again, it is going to be chilly. We knew that going into it, but that is the updated weather report that we have right now. Before we call it quits here, I did want to give some popular predictions, okay? Who's picking what team to win? And I thought we would start with, over at ESPN, Adam Rittenberg. He has Ohio State winning this football game 26-19. Okay, Adam Rittenberg, ESPN, has Ohio State winning 26-19. Go over to CBS Sports, all right? Actually, we'll save CBS Sports. The College Football Network has Ohio State winning 27-23. So we're talking one-score games here, but Rittenberg, and as well as the College Football Network, have Ohio State winning this game. 8 different panelists from CBS Sports gave predictions on the entire college football playoff field, but we're breaking it down specifically to this first-round matchup in Columbus on Saturday, Tennessee at Ohio State. And of the 8 guys who gave picks at CBS Sports, 5 of them have Tennessee winning this game at Ohio State. How about that? None of the guys picking, for what it's worth, none of the guys picking this game, Tennessee at Ohio State, have either of those teams knocking off Oregon in the quarterfinals in the Rose Bowl. So according to CBS Sports, both Ohio State and Tennessee's season will come to an end, at least one of those teams in the Rose Bowl, and they have Oregon. All 8 of those, picking this game, have Oregon going on to this, advancing on to face either Texas, Arizona State, or Clemson. So here we go. Okay. You've got Dennis Dodd. He picks Tennessee to beat Ohio State and to move on to the Rose Bowl to play Oregon. So there's one for Tennessee. Dennis Dodd is picking the Volunteers. Tom Fornelli is picking the Volunteers over Ohio State. So Tom Fornelli and Dennis Dodd, 2 very well-known names for CBS Sports, picking Tennessee to beat Ohio State. Chip Patterson is also picking the University of Tennessee to beat Ohio State. How about that? Richard Johnson is the first to pick Ohio State. Richard Johnson picks Ohio State. Jaraha picks Ohio State to beat Tennessee. You've got John Talty, who's picking Tennessee to beat Ohio State. And Brandon Marcello picks Ohio State over Tennessee. But finishing strong, Brad Crawford picks Tennessee over Ohio State. So again, of the 8 panelists here at CBS Sports that pick the entire college football playoff brackets, you have Brad Crawford 1, John Talty 2, Chip Patterson 3, Tom Fornelli 4, and Dennis Dodd 5. 5 guys who are picking Tennessee over Ohio State. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So it's not just all Ohio State. I mean, I understand Tennessee struggles on the road. I understand Ohio State is going to be playing at home. I understand it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold for both teams. But 5 of CBS Sports' 8 panelists that voted on this have Tennessee winning. So I thought that was interesting. And finally, some nerd stats and some trends, that I found kind of during show prep. I wanted to read a couple of these for you. Between Tennessee and Ohio State, first, the Tennessee notes, Tennessee has tackled opponents for a loss on 90 of 422 rushing attempts this year. That's good enough for 21% TFL rate, which ranks second best in the SEC. 90 of 422 attempts, 21% TFL rate. That's pretty good. Second best in the SEC, only to Ole Miss. Tennessee's running backs have averaged 204 rushing yards per game this season, second best among FBS programs. Boise State is the only one, a.k.a. Ashton Genty, is the only team program player, really, that has averaged more rushing yards per game than Tennessee. Josh Turbeville has averaged touchbacks at 85% of kickoffs this season. That is 5th best among FBS kickers. Tennessee has allowed just 10.9 receiving yards per game to running backs this season, an interesting stat. That's 3rd best in FBS. Tennessee has allowed passes of 40-plus yards on just 1 of 350 attempts this season. That is tied for the best mark among power teams. So, of course, Tennessee's defense is doing what Tennessee defense does, has allowed 1 40-yard-plus pass on 350 attempts against that defense this season, the best among power conferences. How about that? Some Ohio State notes here. Ohio State's opponents are holding the ball for an average of 30.7 seconds per play, which is the longest plays per second faced of any defense in the FBS. The OSU defense ranks 1st nationally in points per game opportunity and red zone touchdown rate. So again, Tennessee's going to be going and doing more plays than that, but I thought that was interesting. Ohio State's offense has thrown for 20 or more yards on 12.2% of 344 attempts this season. That's 28th best among FBS offenses. Tennessee's defense allows 20-plus yards on just 8.6% of attempts this season. That's 3rd best among SEC defenses. So clearly advantage there to Tennessee's defense. Ohio State averages 12.8 yards per catch since the 2023 season. That's the 22nd best among FBS skill players. Tennessee's defense has allowed just 10.7 yards after catch since 2023, 16th best among FBS defenses. Trevion Henderson has rushed for 10 or more yards on 26 of his 108 carries this season. That's the best among FBS running backs. That's a really, really good rate there, right there. Trevion Henderson, of course, not Judkins, who came over from Ole Miss. They both play, but Henderson has rushed for 10 or more yards on 26 of his 108 carries this season. That's number 1 amongst FBS running backs. That's a really good stat. Ohio State has allowed 13 touchdowns on 377 completions since the 2023 season. That's the best in the Big Ten. And finally, Ohio State has not tackled opponents for a loss on any of the 29 rushing attempts on 3rd and short this season. That's interesting. I'll read that again. Ohio State has not tackled opponents for a loss, has registered no TFLs on any of the 29 rushing attempts on 3rd and short this season, tied with Rutgers, who is 0 for 30 for the lowest mark among power conference programs. So what that means is to tell me is if you get 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and inches, run that football, baby, run that rock, because Ohio State's defense has not had much success in generating a push in that situation. The most bet on games so far at the time of this recording, Ohio State, Tennessee. Most bet on teams has been Tennessee. Most bet on teams to cover, Tennessee. And yeah, that's all I have right here. So how about that? Some interesting little notes and some trends heading into game week, baby. Tennessee at Ohio State. Can't freaking wait. We're going to have a fun week, guys, right here on Locked On Vols. It starts today. It will continue tomorrow with your questions. We'll have a whole lot of fun with that. @_Kaner at Locked On Vols, and, of course, on the YouTube page. Can't thank you guys enough for joining the show. Appreciate you guys. We'll do it again tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.